Urgent Las Vegas Raiders fans. Do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because here, we bring you daily videos with the latest Las Vegas Raiders updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. Hey, Raider Nation! Today, I've got some huge news that's going to shake things up in Las Vegas. You know, the Raiders have been going through a bit of a roller coaster lately, and this offseason, everything seems to be pointing toward a major rebuild, a fresh start. But it's not just about signing new players or changing the coaching staff. No, it's bigger than that. The Raiders, under owner Mark Davis, have made some bold moves in their leadership and organizational structure that could potentially set the tone for the team's future for years to come. And trust me, this is something every fan of the silver and black needs to pay attention to. So, let's dive right into what's been happening behind the scenes. It all started when Mark Davis decided to bring in some new leadership to shake things up. He's been known for making bold decisions, especially after some tough seasons that left fans and critics questioning whether the Raiders were heading in the right direction. But this offseason, Davis took a different approach. Instead of just restructuring the coaching staff or making a few personnel changes, he opted for a more sweeping overhaul of the organization at the executive level. And that's where things get really interesting. One of the most surprising moves was the hiring of Pete Carroll as the new head coach. Now, wait a minute, Pete Carroll? The same Pete Carroll who's been the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks for over a decade? Yes, that's right. It's an unexpected choice, but if you think about it, it signals a desire for a fresh perspective, a new style of leadership that could potentially bring that winning mentality back to Las Vegas. Carroll is known for his energetic coaching style, his focus on culture, and his ability to develop young talent. Bringing someone like him into the fold was a bold gamble, but one that could pay dividends if everything clicks. Alongside Carroll, the Raiders brought in John Spytek to serve as the new general manager. Spytek, who has been a prominent figure in NFL front offices, brings a wealth of experience, especially in talent evaluation and roster building. His appointment signals a shift toward a more strategic and data-driven approach to team building. But here's the thing, while the new leadership was taking shape, they made the interesting decision to retain some key pieces from the previous regimes. That's right. Instead of a total overhaul, they kept several familiar faces, especially on the defensive side. For example, defensive coordinator Patrick Graham was kept on board. Graham has been credited with revitalizing the Raiders' defense, making it more aggressive and versatile. His schemes have shown flashes of brilliance, and many believe that his continuity is vital to maintaining some stability on that side of the ball. The same goes for Rob Leonard, the defensive line coach, who's been instrumental in developing the Raiders' young pass rushers. Keeping these coaches signals a desire to build around a core of proven talent and schemes, rather than tearing everything down and starting from scratch. But it's not just about the coaching staff. The front office saw some personnel changes as well. After the 2025 NFL Draft, which was a pretty significant event for the Raiders, they added two more key figures to their organizational structure, Brian Stark and Jonathan Stegall. Both are highly regarded in NFL circles, bringing fresh perspectives and new ideas to the Raiders' scouting and player evaluation processes. Their arrival was seen as a sign that the Raiders are serious about building a more sustainable, long-term winning culture. Of course, with new faces come departures, and that's exactly what happened here. To make room for Stark and Stegall, the Raiders parted ways with some familiar names in their front office, Curtis Knox, the personnel coordinator, and Sean Herrick, a senior personnel advisor. Now, some fans might see these departures as a loss, but in reality, it's often a sign of organizational evolution. Both Knox and Herrick are veterans who have served the team for years, and while their experience is valuable, sometimes fresh blood and new ideas are what's needed to push the team forward. Neil Stratton from Inside the League reported that these changes aren't just about personnel shifts, they're about aligning the team's front office with their new strategic vision. The Raiders are clearly trying to create a more modern, forward-thinking organization, one that can adapt quickly to the ever-changing landscape of the NFL. And let's be honest, after some tough seasons, the Raider Nation has been craving stability, consistency, and most importantly, wins. And that's exactly what these moves aim to bring. Now, let's take a step back and look at what all this means for the team and the fans. Las Vegas has been through a lot recently. Since their relocation from Oakland, the Raiders have faced challenges both on and off the field. There were issues with stadiums, management, and, of course, the on-field product. They've had seasons of promise, but also seasons where everything seemed to fall apart. But what we're seeing now is a clear indication that the franchise is in a transition phase, one that could potentially set them up for sustained success in the coming years. The owner, Mark Davis, has shown a willingness to be bold, to take risks, and to make tough decisions. And that's exactly what it takes to turn around a franchise that has a storied history but has struggled to reach the heights they once did. The hiring of Pete Carroll, the strategic additions to the front office, and the retention of key coaching staff all point toward a vision of stability, discipline, and a culture of winning. Raider fans should be optimistic, though cautious, because rebuilding is never easy, and it takes time. But all signs suggest that the Raiders are serious about doing things differently this time around. Now, it's important to remember that these organizational changes are just the start. The real test will come on the field. Can the Raiders translate this new leadership and organizational structure into winning seasons? Can they develop young talent and bring out the best in their veteran players? That remains to be seen, but the foundation is being laid. The team's draft picks, free agent signings, and player development will be critical in determining whether these moves pay off. Looking at the roster, there are some key pieces that fans should keep an eye on. The Raiders have invested heavily in their offensive line and skill position players. With quarterbacks and wide receivers that have shown flashes of brilliance, the potential is there for Las Vegas to have a potent offense. On defense, the retention of Patrick Graham's scheme and the development of their young pass rushers could be game-changers. Players like Max Crosby, one of the league's premier pass rushers, will be vital in anchoring that defense and creating havoc for opposing quarterbacks. And speaking of Crosby, he's become a symbol of the Raiders' resilience. The way he's developed into a leader on that defense has been impressive, and he's someone who embodies the spirit of Raider Nation: tough, relentless, and always striving for greatness. The team is also looking to develop new stars and bring in impact players through the draft and free agency, aiming to create a roster that can compete with the best in the AFC. But let's not forget the broader context. The AFC is stacked, with powerhouse teams like the Chiefs, Bills, and Bengals. The Raiders will need to up their game significantly if they want to make the playoffs and go deep. It's a tall order, but with these organizational changes, there's a renewed sense of hope among fans that better days are ahead. The team's management understands that to compete at the highest level, they need a combination of solid coaching, smart roster moves, and a winning culture that permeates every aspect of the organization. Now, fans might be wondering, what's next? Well, the offseason is still ongoing, and the Raiders are expected to be active in free agency and the upcoming draft. Expect them to target offensive linemen, defensive playmakers, and perhaps a veteran quarterback to add stability under center. The draft will be crucial. Finding that franchise-changing player or two could be the difference between a mediocre season and a deep playoff run. The front office's new approach signals that they're looking for impact players, those who can step in immediately and contribute to the team's success. It's also worth noting that the Raiders fan base, Raider Nation, has shown incredible resilience through thick and thin. You guys have stood by the team, through ups and downs, and your passion is unmatched. This organizational overhaul might seem like a lot to take in at once, but history tells us that Raiders teams that build with a clear vision and a relentless attitude tend to succeed. The key will be patience, trusting the process, and believing in the leadership that's now in place. So, as we look ahead to the upcoming season, expectations are starting to shift. No longer is the focus just on surviving or avoiding embarrassment. Fans want to see a team that plays with grit, that fights until the final whistle, and most importantly, that wins games consistently. That's the ultimate goal, and with these organizational changes, the Raiders seem committed to making that a reality. The road to success isn't easy, but with a new leadership team, a clear vision, and the passion of Raider Nation behind them, the future looks promising. And now, Las Vegas Raiders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all these changes? Do you believe this new leadership will turn the team around? Are you excited about Pete Carroll's potential impact? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinions matter so much to us and to the Raiders. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with even more updates, analysis, and inside info on everything happening in the world of the Las Vegas Raiders. Stay tuned, stay loud, and as always, go Raiders!